Hi, this is Annabelle.
And this is Jon.
And
we disagree.
Hi, this is Annabelle.
And this is Jon.
And this is Annabelle and Jon
Disagree.
I'm Charity Egeland. I'm the advisor for the Bengals Purr, and this is our test run for a new podcast called Jon and Annabelle Disagree with Annabelle 80, our opinion editor for the Bengals Purr student newspaper, and John Wilcoxon, who is opinion assistant for the Bengals Purr student newspaper. Two very intelligent people with very different perspectives, trying to see what they might agree on or what do they continue to disagree on. So today we are looking at two potentially related topics. We are looking at the Confederate flag and also a recent event regarding a teenager's public support for a statement made by President Donald Trump. So Jon and Annabelle, briefly remind us of why the Confederate flag is a topic of conversation right now.
The Confederate flag is a topic of conversation now because many conservative people within America are adopting it as a symbol. Many of them are flying it from their cars and from their clothing as sort of a symbol of states' rights.
Yeah, but it could be taken as race. It has a lot of racist background too. So it's kind of come back up since there's a lot of racial issues in the country right now, so it's become more prevalent.
And why would you say that it is tied to racism, the Confederate flag?
Because in the Civil War, when the South seceded, they supported racism, they had slaves and everything, and the North was against that, and so the South was I want to do my own thing, and so the Confederate flag represented the South that seceded from the U.S.
Right. Okay. So why is the Confederate flag a topic of conversation in Lewiston, Idaho, and Clarkston, Washington right now, when we are so far from the South and from the Civil War?
It's a big topic of conversation right now because many people fly it from their vehicles when they go down the road, and many of them speak out in support of maintaining it and think that it's not a symbol of racial injustice.
Yeah, they kind of take it more as a country pride thing, shooting and all that.
Gun rights.
Yeah.
Gun rights, right?
It's kind of like hunting. It's come to represent fishing, the whole, I guess, culture in Idaho.
Yeah.
Related to the culture of the South.
Yeah.
Okay, even though we're in the North.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to skip because you've kind of covered a couple of these questions already. So how does this issue of the Confederate flag tie in with the presidency of Donald Trump, or are the two related at all?
I would say that they're unrelated.
Yeah.
Since the Confederate flag has been flown by people for years before, it'll probably be flown years after once Donald Trump leaves.
Yeah, I agree that it is unrelated, although it's become more prevalent in our societies with all of these, like Charlottesville and the KKK coming back. Well, they never left, but they've kind of
resurged.
Yeah.
Hosting more public events.
So, okay, let me rephrase this because there is no clear tie between, you guys agree on that?
Yeah.
That there's no clear tie between the Confederate flag and Donald Trump. Is there a clear connection between, I'm trying to think how to phrase this, between racism and Donald Trump?
Don't think he's done enough to deny the fact that the KKK did endorse him, which is a bad thing. I don't think he denied it enough. He didn't do it quickly enough, but I wouldn't say that he's saying, oh, these racists are such bad people. I don't think he's saying stuff like that, but
okay.
You kind of get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here in the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, there was recently an event or a debate that got especially, I think, local teenagers pretty fired up, at least on social media, if not in person. And this was regarding President Trump and some would say racism. So can you guys explain the events perhaps without using the student's name, explain the events as plainly as possible.
So basically what happened was the student, they like, it's a tradition for seniors to paint parking lot, like just a certain parking lot of whatever they want. So she chose the design of American flag with the quote, "Make America Great Again."
And that was on her personal reserved parking spot
Yeah.
at Clarkston High School.
Yeah, I don't know if they do the whole ticket thing like we do. It makes sense if they did, but like she basically paid for that parking spot, so I guess they deserve to be able to put on whatever they want, just as long as it's like not horrible, I guess, without like it doesn't have like bad words or anything.
So why did it matter that she chose to paint that on her personal parking spot? What was the objection that people had?
People objected to it because the slogan was "Make America Great Again," and to some individuals that slogan is permanently connected to Donald Trump and his campaign. What many people aren't focusing on is the fact that that slogan has been used by presidents in the past.
Such as?
Ronald Reagan, I think.
And we could check that. But yeah, you were looking into that last week.
Yeah, pretty sure it's Ronald Reagan who used it.
And what is the objection though? Like why? Because that sounds very positive language. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
is there that objection if it's related to Donald Trump? Then it's a thing that would make people upset to make America great again.
Well, in Clarkston, there's a lot of people, like a lot of students of color,
Yes.
and that term used by Donald Trump, a lot of people associate Trump with racism. Like, there's a correlation between those for people of color, and not just people of color. It's like everyone who like pays attention can see that he can possibly be racist. So a lot of people in Lapway too were really upset, which makes a lot of sense because they too are people of color. So the person who painted the parking lot, they don't see what they're upset about or why they're being like, it's a positive, it's supposed to be a positive quote, but it turned into something negative.
Yeah.
And you guys interviewed this student,
Mhm.
and so what did you get out of that, or what experience did that student appear to be having?
She seemed careless.
Yeah.
Like, she was unapologetic, which you don't have to apologize, but you should still be respectful of people,
Yeah,
especially when, like, they felt, I don't know.
Attacked.
Yeah, attacked is what I was thinking. Yeah, they felt, not, like, directly attacked, but, like, by her saying, or defending, I don't think she's even defending her reason. She just said she liked the quote, and then she doesn't care what anyone thinks,
Yeah.
or she doesn't care about the reason why they're upset, which is like not.
It's not the best.
Yeah, not
Defense.
the best.
Mm-hmm. Did it seem at all like this student also felt attacked?
I don't think she understood.
No.
I don't think she grasped.
I don't think she really cared.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's like she heard it, whatever, move on.
Okay.
but like you can't really move on by something like that.
What-
Like you can't tell people to get over it.
Yeah. That's a phrase she used quite a bit.
Get
was
over
get
it.
over it.
And you can't tell people who are upset for good reason to get over something, because then it just looks bad. Like, you can't get over being, like, racist. Like, if you're a person of color and someone's attacking you, you can't get over it, because you can't control, like, how you look or what your skin color is or, like, where you're from. Those are factors you can't control, and she basically told them to get over it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that people said, or I don't know if we can, but what was the general vibe? Because I wasn't.
Very,
How would you describe the social media activity related to this?
Outraged.
very hostile.
Yeah, a lot of, like, threats.
Yeah.
of
Right.
But
attack.
none of these threats were ever made in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one big, all of every anything anybody said to her in person was always positive. but no one's ever actually voiced their complaints to her in person.
I think that's why
Only-
that's why she's so confused by like the response, because people on social media are upset because you have the SJWs, the social justice warriors, on the internet.
Yeah.
But then like people at school, even people of color at school, are all positive like towards her about it. So I can understand why she'd be confused.
Yeah.
It's very like mixed.
It's a quagmire.
Yeah. Wow. Well, in general, do you think that a high school student has the right to put a politically related slogan on their personal parking space at school?
I think if they paid for the tickets and won it, they should have the right, within means, to put whatever they want.
I think they should have the right to put whatever they want on it. I mean, First Amendment, freedom of speech, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but then that gives the right, like,
'Cause if
everyone
we
else
start
the right to do
saying-
anything worse. Like,
If we start saying you can only put down X, 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 and X, eventually it's going to start getting whittled down as time goes by. Since, you can't throw a frog inside a boiling pot of water with all restriction, like, they'll just jump right out. But if you crank the heat up slowly, then it'll stay in the pot. And the same thing applies to censorship, too. You just start out with small things, like you can't use harsh language or outrageous political statements. And eventually it's going to be you can't say anything about, I don't know, capitalism.
yeah.
If we're taking over by communists, they probably say you can't talk about capitalism anymore.
Do people, or specifically adults, have a right to speak out against a teenager's political statement?
No.
Considering that the teenager is not is legally a child. You know what I mean? Do people have a right to speak out against a teenager?
No.
I don't agree with that. I don't think they have the right. Like, as someone who is legally an adult, being attacked by like 30-year-olds is kind of scary because they've had a lot more experience than I have. So no matter how I respond, I always sound ignorant, and they'll always like. I feel like adults look down on younger people a lot more, like 18 year younger. They're just like, oh, you don't know the world, you don't deserve to have an opinion, and you're wrong, basically. And no matter how right you are or how much evidence you have to back it up, they're always going to see you as the
You're wrong.
kid. Yeah, you're always going to be wrong because you're young.
I think it's alright for adults to mentor and comment on it, but not to be like, oh, this is horrific. She got all these death threats from adults and stuff, and that's absolutely absurd. But
That's when adults are acting like children.
Yeah.
Like, that's something a high schooler would do, not like a 20-year-old in college or whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel like you should be able to have a civil argument with someone,
yeah,
but not a lot of people are civil.
that argument wasn't civil.
No.
Right.
I think they went right past that and straight to the threats.
So here, I think was what some people saw as the core argument was, do people have a right to speak out against the President of the United States?
Yeah, because it's our First Amendment, freedom of speech. As long as you're not, like, sitting outside his house being like, I hate you, and throwing rocks at him, that's, like, different. But,
I
like,
think-
you can make your own opinion.
I'm gonna say no, because I watch stuff like CNN and all that, and they're just lambasting him repeatedly. And if you look at Trump to former President Obama's campaign, they say stuff like Trump, Trump, Trump. But when former President Obama was in power, they said President Obama.
Uh-huh.
They don't put the president in front of President Trump.
Uh-huh.
That's just one small thing, but you hear it, and they're always saying, oh, he's destroying the country and all this stuff. He's the worst thing to happen to America ever.
Well, that's media bias.
Do they have a right to do
Yeah, but-
that?
I'm gonna say no. It's disrespectful.
And
like in the military, when you sign up for the military, you lose that right to disagree with the president. Since he's the commander in chief, you have to show respect, regardless of your personal political opinions.
And so, going back to what you were saying about censorship, how does that tie into this? If students shouldn't have anything censored like on their parking spaces,
Yeah.
then like what if a student wanted to criticize the president on their parking space?
I mean, they could, but it had to be within reason. Jeez, I'm contradicting myself.
I feel like that's a whole different story because you're gonna
Yeah,
have
I think these
a different
Okay.
group of people outraged.
Yeah.
So there's literally no winning, no matter what
No,
you do.
no.
Like politics are just it's a circle, it's a roundabout. You're never gonna agree.
There is no winning.
No.
Okay. I really apologize. I totally forgot to ask you this before. I'm very sorry, but where did you guys start with your thinking on these issues and how has it changed? Because you did a lot of research together and a lot of discussion together.
I initially supported her very heavily.
Yeah. You mean the parking?
The person who painted the parking spot and the meaning behind the parking spot. But now, after we interviewed this person, I don't know if I can support him anymore. Just how they're referring to people and saying get over it and stuff. I still think that what they said was all right, but the way they defended themselves, the arguments, was just nothing.
And it's weird because John and I like initially disagreed on this topic. I was the other side where I was like I thought the responses were justified because it was insensitive. And then after the interview, John and I like discussed it, and we both came to the conclusion that like she didn't care what anyone thought,
Yeah.
and was just insensitive about it.
But regardless, the response was bad.
Yeah, she could have said about anything, but getting over it really did not help her situation. Like, you can't do that. You just, even after I introduced the idea that maybe it was racially insensitive or how it could be, she still did not listen to me, I felt. And she did not see why I felt that way or why. So I didn't even introduce evidence because I was just like, she's not gonna learn. She's not gonna be open-minded about it.
It was
Her
probably
defenses were a lot like President Trump's in a way.
How so?
In that it was always, I'm right, you're wrong, get over it.
Okay.
And we weren't even accusing her.
No.
We were like, there was no bias in our questions. We asked pretty direct questions, and they were all one-worded answers.
Yeah.
So,
Do you guys think she has reason to feel, like I said before, attacked?
yeah.
Not by
Yeah.
you, but just in general?
Yeah, because a lot of people got on her about it online. So, and it's really tough to get away from that if it's online because you're always on your phone
Yeah.
Yeah.
or always on Facebook, like, constantly. So you can't just turn your phone off because people want to be connected to the world. So if it were physically, it would be different because you could,
Physical threats.
you could have police action or not go to school or something. Like, I feel like with online, it's really hard to,
You can't escape it,
Yeah.
you can't prosecute it, you can't
Yeah.
do anything to it.
and even if you took the screenshots of those threats to the police, a lot of the time,
Yeah.
they're just like, they can't do anything
Yeah.
because no one has.
Because it's a freedom of speech to criticize.
And there was no actual threat in person, so she wouldn't have grounds.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys agree on at this point?
The threats were bad.
Yeah, that I agree that the threats were a little too much. I feel like there was a better way to go about, like, not threatening people. There's a better way.
Better way to discuss it, to criticize.
Yeah, like have a civil discussion rather than straight to threats because they didn't listen to her side. They just assumed the worst.
Right.
I feel like it was a very innocent thing that became not very innocent
Yeah.
because of, like, just misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It was just a huge misunderstanding, so I don't think it's going to change anything. She's not going to paint over her parking lot, and
I bet you
I doubt she will.
next year people won't remember this.
Yeah, it's like, I felt like it stopped being a discussion, like, weeks ago. As soon as it happened, I feel like it was over.
Yeah. Which, in a way, is good. I mean, there's no more death
good
threats.
for her,
But
it's, like, still...
I think it points out something that's going to exist in American society forever. That there will always be discussion or disagreements that will inevitably generate into fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
I
that's
lost my
how
train of
social
thought.
media is. A lot of threats, a lot of empty threats, and no one ever
Yeah.
does anything, or people don't want to listen to you because you're already wrong in their minds. So
Right.
I think the message here is to be open-minded and like accept responsibility.
Madison was right.
President Madison?
Yeah, since in the 18th century he wrote a bunch of speeches about why political parties were bad and how it would eventually lead to fights and civil disorder, and he was right.
Hi, this is Annabelle.
And this is John,
And
we disagree.